All right, section one, here we go. How to buy MSP services, and transparently, how did we get here? I was looking up to see, was there any guides out there to buying managed service provider services, or how to buy it, or best practices of buying, or what does good MSPs look like? And all I could find was how to sell it, how to price it, how to deliver it, technically, all these kind of things. And I thought, it's time for somebody to fill this gap. I've got 30 plus years experience in technology services. I've been in MSP world since the beginning. There was MSP before that, value added reseller, so selling hardware. And I wanted to give that knowledge out to you. So if you're trying to find a way to buy managed services for your business, I want to help you do that. And this is the start of that journey, and it's going to be a bit longer than I had anticipated, but I've got it broke into sections, so if some of these don't apply to you, you just go to the different videos, and then you can do that. Where do we start? First of all, let's disclose that the industry has no best practices, nobody that audits MSPs, nobody that sets standards for these technology providers. So a guy working out of his house that just graduated college that thinks he can do this can be an MSP to somebody that's been in the industry for forever and has hundreds of employees and maybe private equity backing. They can be MSPs and everything in the middle. So this is a difficult journey because they all advertise themselves as pretty much the same thing. So how do we get down to the brass tacks on what is important to you and how do you make this decision? And let's start with the standards of kind of the MSPs themselves, which again, there are none. So let's start with pricing. Pricing I've seen as low as $50 a user, all the way up to $300+ per user. What's the differences? We're going to break into that and figure out some of the differences. And then there's no definition of what's included. Is a cyber stack included? Is Microsoft 365 included? Is business line of applications included? Who knows? And that's where we want to start breaking that down, make sure we get the details of what's important to you as the consumer of these services and how you should best be looking at buying. So as of right now, I've got 9 different videos in addition to this intro of kind of breaking into the sections. They are the basics of qualifying an MSP. Number 2 is how to compare MSPs once you have the basics. Number 3 is pricing. Yikes. Yeah, like what's in pricing, what's normal, what's not normal, what should be included, what's high, what's low. We'll go into all those details. Number 4, probably maybe one of the most important items, but it is number 4, cybersecurity. And I'm going to include backup kind of inside of that cybersecurity stack. And by the way, this goes both ways because now that you're allowing access of an MSP into your network, you've got to be worried about their cybersecurity. And so we're going to talk about kind of what good looks like inside of that. We're going to talk about Microsoft 365. A lot of companies, that's kind of the core of their business anymore, which includes online storage, includes Teams, that includes, of course, regular Office platforms, that includes all the applications inside of that, the cybersecurity pieces of that, the management and monitoring of that. We'll get into the details of that. Proactive service monitoring management. That's the core of the old school MSP, and we're going to touch on AI inside of that, what kind of the future of that looks like and how it should be impactful to you as the customer. Then we're going to move on to on-site versus off-site service. Might matter to you, might not. Should it matter to you? Let's talk about those included. And kind of in that, we're going to talk about the caps of an MSP. The newest trick I've seen has been up to this many hours or up to this service level, which really puts you at risk. And I don't think this is a great way of buying this service because MSP is all about risk mitigation. And if the MSP is not taking the risk, then you are. And the MSP just gets the benefit of your money without the challenge of your risk. So let's talk about that. We're going to talk about warranty versus service. Oh, this is so confusing. And this is kind of one of those fine lines where you think you've bought one thing and then when something breaks and they charge you and you're completely unhappy. Talk about that. And last, I am going to have a rant on VCIO services. Just as a teaser, I think VCIO services is an excuse to charge you, the customer, for account management. That's not the way this goes. I do think there could be a play here where a quality provider is going to provide you services such as IT planning, such as security level planning, such as future planning for a growing business. I don't think those are VCIO, not as the industry describes it, maybe in my head of the basics, but sure. But realistically, what I'm seeing across the industry is everybody is just using this VCIO because it's all the great value that you get. They're just charging you for account management. Think of it this way. They're charging you to bring somebody in to sell you more stuff. The definition of sales. And remember, I'm a sales guy, so I'm just going to be honest with you. That's where it starts. So that's what we're going to talk about, those different areas. And then my last piece, which I've already touched on, is this is a risk conversation. Ultimately, who owns what risk? You as the customer of an MSP. What risk are you taking on? The MSP itself, what risk are they taking on? And just here's one of your first kind of tips of the trade. If you hear somebody is going to protect you from everything, or they're going to cover that, or it's all inclusive, those are warning signs. Because first of all, on cyber risk, the bottom line is any employee of yours as the customer could mitigate all cybersecurity if they give away their credentials, if they literally let somebody walk into their building. Now, putting services in there such as, phishing attacks so that your employees learn, absolutely part of a cyber stack. But we want to talk about that risk mitigation because really that's what you're buying here. You're moving the risk of IT because you're not an IT expert. Maybe you're a roofer, maybe you're a restaurant owner, who knows what you're doing. But you're moving that risk of IT from yourself because you can't find great IT help or don't want to pay for them or don't have the knowledge to do it, whatever it is. You're going to move that from, you to the managed service provider. And the trade is you're paying them money for that. Duh. Well, the shady characters in this industry, this is where they're going to move that risk around in places that you don't see it. And so we're going to uncover those dark areas, make sure you see it. So take a look at the video trains. This is the first in the series. Look forward to seeing it. Again, I'm Steve Riot, and I've just been an industry expert for a long time. I've had access to hundreds of MSPs from around the globe through many different peer groups that I've been part of, and I still travel to find out the best in the industry, and I just want to share it with you so we can all provide safe IT in a scalable way, and ultimately the mission is to help you grow your business with the help of IT. See you next time.